They taught you to be kind. They never told you what kindness would cost you. And by the time you realize it, the price has already been taken. Introduction. From the moment you could understand words, the world gave you rules. Be good, be fair, be patient, don't be difficult. They promised that kindness would come back to you like a reward, but no one warned you that the world doesn't run on promises, it runs on power. Main narrative. Most people grow up believing life is a moral scale, that if you put enough goodness on one side, the universe will balance it out. Be helpful and you'll be helped. Be honest and honesty will protect you. But reality is colder than that. Look closely at how the world actually works, not how it speaks. The world listens to strength before it listens to goodness. It follows certainty before it follows kindness. Kindness feels safe because it avoids conflict. Power feels dangerous because it demands responsibility. So most people choose kindness, not because it is right, but because it is easier. As a child, kindness keeps you accepted. As an adult, unchecked kindness makes you invisible. You've seen it happen. The one who always understands gets ignored. The one who always gives is expected to give more. The one who never says no slowly disappears. This is not because people are evil. It's because human nature responds to pressure, not pity. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He didn't write about how people should behave. He wrote about how they do behave. And the truth is simple. The world does not reward intentions. It rewards outcomes. Kindness, by itself, produces no outcome. It creates comfort, not respect. And comfort is easily taken for granted. Power is different. Power creates consequences. Power draws lines. Power changes behavior. This is why history remembers rulers, not saints. Not because rulers were better men, but because they shaped reality. Empires were not built on fairness. They were built on force, discipline, and fear of consequence. Only after power was secured did kindness become an option. Even today, nothing has changed. In offices, the most agreeable worker is rarely promoted. In groups, the quiet giver is rarely chosen as leader. In life, the one who bends first is the one pushed the hardest. People test you, often without knowing it. They ask for a little more time, a little more effort, a little more understanding. If you give without limit, they keep taking, not because they hate you, but because you taught them there is no cost. Kindness without boundaries teaches others that you don't value yourself. That's the part no one says out loud. When you are endlessly kind, endlessly patient, endlessly forgiving, you send a message not of goodness, but of weakness. And the world is very good at spotting weakness. Machiavelli warned that a man who relies only on virtue will fall among those who do not. Not because virtue is wrong, but because it is unprotected. Think about this carefully. A locked door is not evil. It simply understands reality. Strength is the lock that allows kindness to exist safely. Without strength, kindness becomes exposure. Without power, morality becomes a target. This is why people who mean well often lose the most. They trust too early. They forgive too often. They sacrifice themselves hoping someone will notice. But the world doesn't notice sacrifice. It notices presence. It notices certainty. It notices the man or woman who cannot be pushed. This awakening is painful because it breaks an old identity. You may have believed your goodness made you valuable. You may have thought your patience made you noble. But value in the real world is not assigned by effort. It is assigned by leverage. Leverage is the ability to walk away, the ability to say no, the ability to stand firm and accept discomfort. Most people never develop this. They are too afraid of being disliked, too afraid of being alone, too afraid of being seen as harsh. So they choose kindness without power, and the world quietly teaches them the cost. This is not a call to cruelty. It is a call to clarity. Because the truth is this: If your kindness cannot survive resistance, it was never strength. It was fear dressed as goodness. The lie you were raised on was not kindness itself. The lie was that kindness alone would protect you. In reality, protection comes from strength, respect comes from boundaries, and peace comes from knowing you can defend yourself without needing to prove it. The world does not hate kind people. It simply does not stop for them. This is the awakening. Kindness is not a shield. Without strength, it becomes a weakness others will exploit. Power is not cruelty. It is protection. And until you understand this, the world will keep taking from you without apology. Once the lie breaks, something darker appears. Not anger, not hatred, but a quiet fear that settles in your chest. Because now you see it. You see how often morality loses. You see how often good people suffer in silence. And you start asking the question most people avoid for their entire lives. Why? Why does doing the right thing so often lead to loss, while doing the ruthless thing leads to reward? The answer is uncomfortable, and that is why it is hidden. Morality is internal. Power is external. Morality lives in your heart. Power lives in the world, and the world does not feel your heart. People say they respect honesty, but they obey authority. They praise fairness, but they submit to force. They admire kindness from a distance, yet move aside for strength. This is not because people are evil. It is because people are afraid. Fear shakes behavior faster than virtue ever could. Machiavelli saw this clearly. He did not judge it. He simply described it. A man can promise fairness, mercy, and justice. But if he cannot enforce those promises, they are only words. And words collapse the moment pressure arrives. Pressure reveals the truth. When resources grow scarce, morality fades. When survival is threatened, values bend. When power enters the room, ethics step back. You see this in history again and again. Revolutions do not reward the most righteous. They reward the most organized. Wars are not won by those with the purest cause. They are won by those with the strongest grip. Even the leaders people call evil were not defeated by moral arguments. They were defeated by greater power. This is the part people refuse to accept. The world does not run on what should be. It runs on what is enforced. A rule without consequence is a suggestion. A value without strength is decoration. Morality asks people to act against their self-interest. Power forces alignment. That is why morality needs protection, and power provides it. Without power, morality becomes a burden carried only by those naive enough to hold it. You see this in everyday life, not just history books. The co-worker who follows every rule gets more work, not more respect. The honest man gets blamed for mistakes he didn't make. The forgiving one becomes the dumping ground for everyone else's behavior. Meanwhile, the one who pushes back is left alone. The one who sets limits is avoided, but respected. The one who enforces consequences is called difficult, yet never crossed. People obey what they cannot ignore. Machiavelli warned that a leader who tries to be purely moral will be destroyed by those willing to act without restraint. Not because morality is weak, but because morality is slow. Power is immediate. Fear acts faster than reason. Loss motivates faster than reward. This is why people change behavior only after consequences arrive, not after warnings, not after speeches, after pain. And once you see this, innocence disappears. You realize that the world does not run on fairness. It runs on leverage. Leverage is the ability to make others feel the cost of crossing you. That cost does not have to be violence. Often, silence is enough. Distance is enough. Withdrawal of access is enough. But it must exist. Without leverage, morality becomes begging. And begging invites contempt. This is where many good people break. They keep giving, hoping morality will be noticed. They keep forgiving, hoping loyalty will appear. They keep enduring, hoping suffering will be rewarded. It rarely is. The world does not reward endurance. It tests it. And once it learns you will endure anything, it gives you everything it can't carry itself. This is the descent. The moment you realize that goodness without force is not noble, it is dangerous. Because it teaches others that there is no price for harming you. Machiavelli understood that people are loyal while it is beneficial. When conditions change, loyalty disappears. Only power remains constant. That does not mean you abandon values. It means you stop relying on them alone. Morality without power is hope. Power without morality is chaos. But between the two, only one survives on its own. The world does not protect the fragile. It feeds on it, and fragility often wears the mask of virtue. This is why moral people who refuse power are often the most controlled. They are guided by guilt, moved by shame, trapped by the fear of becoming bad. Meanwhile, those who accept power shape outcomes, even if they are criticized for it. The descent is not about becoming cruel. It is about losing illusions. You stop expecting fairness. You stop waiting for recognition. You stop believing that good intentions will save you. You begin to understand that morality is a luxury of the powerful. Only those who can defend themselves can afford to be kind without fear. Everyone else is just exposed. This chapter is hard because it strips comfort away. It shows you that morality alone will not protect you, that values without strength are easily broken, and that the world responds to force faster than it responds to virtue. This is not a call to abandon goodness. It is a warning to stop leaving it unguarded. This is the descent. Morality alone cannot protect you. Without power, values are fragile. The world does not reward intentions. It rewards enforcement. And the world does not protect the fragile. It consumes them. There comes a moment when you stop blaming the world, not because it became kinder, but because you finally understand it. This is where mastery begins. Most people who discover power fall into one of two traps. They either reject it out of fear or abuse it out of anger. Both paths lead to emptiness. True power is quiet. It does not need to announce itself. It does not chase respect. It waits and lets others feel its weight. Machiavelli never asked men to become monsters. He asked them to become awake. Awake enough to know that strength without control becomes cruelty, and kindness without strength becomes surrender. The master walks the line between the two. Power starts inside. Before it ever touches the world, it shapes the self. You stop reacting. You stop explaining. You stop begging for understanding, not because you don't care, but because you no longer need permission to exist. The first sign of mastery is emotional silence. When insulted, you do not rush to defend your pride. When challenged, you do not explode. When tested, you do not fold. You observe. Because control over yourself is the only power no one can take. Most people leak power through emotion. They argue. They justify. They overtalk. The master does none of this. He knows that silence creates space. And in that space, others reveal themselves. Power is not domination. It is positioning. It is choosing when to speak and when to withdraw, when to engage and when to walk away, when to show warmth and when to show consequence. This is how power stays clean. The mistake many make is thinking strength means hardness at all times. It doesn't. The strongest men are often the calmest, because they do not need to prove anything. Kindness, at this level, returns, but it is different now. It is selective, measured, protected. You give because you choose to, not because you fear rejection. You forgive, but you never forget. You listen, but you do not absorb disrespect. You help, but you do not sacrifice yourself. Machiavelli understood that mercy is only valuable when it comes from strength. Mercy from weakness is submission. This is why mastery feels lonely. You no longer fit with the overly kind, but you refuse to join the cruel. You stand apart. People sense it. They may not understand you. They may even fear you. But they respect your presence. Your no carries weight. Your silence ends arguments. Your absence creates consequences. You do not chase control. Control follows you. This is because you have learned the final lesson. Power is not about controlling others. It is about being uncontrollable, unmovable in values, unshaken by pressure, unafraid of loss. When you are willing to lose, you cannot be manipulated. This is what separates mastery from dominance. Dominance demands obedience. Mastery commands respect without asking. At this stage, your kindness becomes rare, and rarity creates value. When you show warmth, it is felt deeply. When you withdraw, it is noticed immediately. You do not need to threaten. Your consistency does the work for you. This is how power becomes invisible. And invisible power is the strongest kind. Machiavelli warned that men are quick to forget favors, but slow to forget punishment. The master understands this without becoming bitter. He does not punish out of anger. He simply removes access. Access is the true currency of power. Who gets your time? Who hears your thoughts? Who stands beside you? Once you control access, you control influence. This is how you protect your soul. You do not harden your heart. You guard it. You do not abandon kindness. You place it behind strength. You do not seek to be loved by everyone. You seek to be respected by those who matter, and in that balance, something rare happens. Peace, not the soft peace of comfort, but the deep peace of self-command. The world still tests you, but now it tests from a distance. Because it knows there is a cost. Mastery is not about becoming ruthless. It is about becoming unreachable by manipulation. It is learning when to stand firm and when to show grace. It is power guided by discipline, and kindness protected by strength. This is how you survive the world without becoming it. This is mastery, power guided by discipline. Kindness protected by strength, control without cruelty. Because the world does not reward softness, but it deeply respects controlled force.